Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturcio and Chris Gucci.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode and edition of the Mojo Market Report right here on a Thursday. It is Thursday, June the 1st, ladies and gentlemen. We have entered the month of June with a lot in store for you guys today. It is, of course, as always, and not so much forever, Dave Sturcio, Chris Gucci here in the building here at Chop Studios for another loaded episode. And, of course, we're going to start right in baseball because last night, for whatever reason, I couldn't sleep, so I stayed up and watched the tragedy that was the New York Yankees losing in 10 innings after a brilliant performance. Brilliant performance out of Clark Schmidt. I feel like the guy hasn't had a good pitching outing since he's joined the team. He finally has one, 5 2/3 shutout baseball. This game is a 1-0 final in 10 innings. So it wasn't like it was in 14 or 15 innings. I got to ask you, I know you mold with the times. You're cool with a lot of the newer nuanced things that the baseball's incorporated, the pitch clock, stuff like that, right? How are you? Where do you stand right now in 2023 with a large sample size of the Ghost Runner, like in extra innings? Like this, it feels like schoolyard baseball. Like last out, go over there. Like it just feels immature. It feels very youth.
I'm not against it. It's like on with it. I'm okay with it. By the ninth inning, if I'm at the game or even if I'm watching it, let's get this over with, bro. Let's get this over with. Everybody's dealing with the same rules. It's still a baseball play. You know, you still got to play baseball.
Correct, but think about it like this. The strategic way to win a game in the 10th is bunt the man over, sack fly, game's over. Think about that.
Okay, so then you do it too.
I will. I'll lay down a bunt next time I'm at bat in the majors, and I'll just move the runner over.
Meaning like both teams could do the same thing.
Correct, but
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get that part.
So it's like, okay, if you're doing it, execute it.
Yeah,
tie it up.
I don't know. It's very anticlimactic to put just somebody on second base and just like, hey, that's the go-ahead run, or hey, that's the winning run. Sure, if it benefits you, I'm like, I love this rule. Last night it didn't benefit the Yankees, so I hate the damn thing.
I think it's good for me because I don't want to be there anymore and I don't want to sit until 2 a.m. to watch a game.
Do you think you represent the common man? Like, do you think you represent the majority?
I think what I do represent, and I'm being honest when I say this is, I know I lay the sarcasm on thick, but I think that I do represent almost a transitional fan where, you know, I definitely get the old school. I was a part of it in some degree, but I'm more than willing to move on from it. And I understand that the way baseball is looking at it, they're playing it like they're China, where they're playing the long-term plan here. They're not really worried about the fans that are going to be dead in 20 years, unfortunately. They're worrying about the long-term, what's going to happen in 25 years. Like, my nephews barely watched a baseball game. They will not ever have really sat down for a full 3-hour baseball game in their life.
It's over. It's 2.5.
So there's going to be a point. And
by the time they're 25, it might be an hour and a half.
There's going to be a point in time where that's just the norm, and I think that's not a bad thing. Look, the runner on second base, when it comes down to playoff baseball, they do it the right way, right? It's stripped back down to the normal rules when there's something heavy on the line. But
so you want to move it along with the season.
But on May 31st,
yeah, you're right.
There's really no reason to go 18 innings, and then we have right fielders starting pitching. You know, it's like there's no real reason for that. There's no reason to just destroy your bullpen for a game in April or May.
One game out of 162. Yeah, no. In that regard, I get it.
And you could say, okay, the sanctity of the game. The old school guys had to do it. Well, the old school guys threw 80 miles an hour.
But they also threw every day.
But they threw 80 miles an hour. There was not a series of these pitches that they got going out there now. There's a reason why people are on pitch counts now. Everyone in Major League Baseball, if you're not throwing 101 miles an hour, you have nasty stuff anyway. You have location. There's still ways to get out.
So I was going to ask you that question because they said that the Mets bullpen, which by the way, the Mets get one yesterday, which again, I'll have one little topic to bring up about the Mets game. But I will ask you, is that also like we've seen basketball? We'll preview the NBA Finals today, but like, do you think that every bullpen needs an absolute flamethrower in their bullpen going forward? A guy that can hit the 101 mark no matter what? Because I don't know if you don't, that means your bullpen's going to get shellacked.
I feel like at this point every team does. It's whether or not
the Mets don't. The Mets right now don't have a guy
that throws hard.
Not that hard. They don't.
Well,
and
then
I heard
they're
like
gonna
a
need
little
one.
critique about that because look, Diaz has been hurt.
100%. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they do have Diaz. He's hurt. Yeah.
But would you add one? Is it necessary? Is what I'm saying.
It's clearly necessary. Okay. And most teams do have one. There's probably a guy somewhere on the Mets that could throw 100 miles an hour. He just probably can't throw strikes. That's the problem.
There is a problem. You have to do that. That's key. But in any event, did you see by any chance? You probably didn't, but there was one ball ripped down the first base line. Umpire is, I don't want to say he's out of position. He's on the first base line where he should be in a certain specific play. He turns around almost too late to see a ball rip down the line and then fall and then like trickle down into foul territory and foul. Like 8 feet fair. And like, is it time for robot umps in that regard? They cannot miss that kind of call. It was so bad. It was one of the worst I've seen.
Yeah, I don't know. Robot umps for the strike zone, I think maybe, but at first base,
fair foul, safe out.
I'm okay with it if they did it. I'm not gonna, but I don't think that it's time for it. I'm not gonna sit here and be an advocate for it. I like the umps. I like as much as they suck sometimes and it's bad, bad for the game. Mm-hmm. I think it also adds to the game. Like I was just talking about Boone yesterday. Who's he gonna argue with? That takes a lot out of the game.
Yeah, that's fair.
Takes a lot out of the game. It makes it. I mean, I guess you could say it shortens the game if they don't argue. Mm. But how short do we need it? I mean, at this point, you gotta call out of work to get to a Yankee game at 7.
You really do. All right. Anyway, tonight it goes down. Game 1, NBA Finals. We have reached the finals after a very long. What feels like take an entire month or two to get the playoffs done. But we do have the great story of the Miami Heat, 8 seed, the way they got in there. Again, we said it a million times already. Lost in the play-in game. Had to win a do-or-die game on a Friday night. They take down the 1 seed. They take down the Knicks. They take down the Celtics. And then, of course, across the floor is the Denver Nuggets, one of the better teams in the NBA throughout the entire year. The 1 seed going in. They just, again, dominant basketball. The Joker, Jokic, he probably should have won another MVP. I'm not going to get into all that crap. But the guy is playing all world. 2 juggernaut teams in different ways. When you look at the Miami Heat, what is your key to winning this series? I know they've spoiled a lot of people so far. They've beaten the Celtics, which, again, were the 2 seed. And then they've beaten the 1 seed. They took the Knicks to the limit, right? Not that it was difficult, but they did. Jimmy Butler's done his thing. The role players have done their thing. Spoelstra has coached his ass off. How do the Heat upset the Nuggets in the finals this year?
They don't.
Okay. Back to you.
There's just, come on.
But listen, in that regard, when the Heat were up 2-0, up 2-0, I was saying it, and then it was 3-0, and we were like, no shot, no shot, no shot. And the Heat and the Celtics kind of started to climb back a little bit. So when you say, no, not going to happen, no shot, are you saying... I know we kind of picked it loosely yesterday, but are you saying that they literally don't have a chance to win the finals this year?
I mean, they're playing in it.
They're playing in it, great. But I'm saying,
if Joker gets hurt,
so it's an injury that's going to take.
It could happen. It could happen, but even then, there's no guarantees. I mean, Denver's good, man. They got a lot of offense, and their defense has been playing better because they're just putting so much pressure on people. I think, I was watching a thing where Garnett was talking about how he would play Jokic. He's like, I would just run. I think it's a misconception that he's out of shape. I don't think
he looks like putty. You know what I mean? He's not built like Giannis.
Yeah, but he's
not.
Look, bro, the bigger guys.
But I'm saying I love what's this guy down in Dallas? He ain't built like
you can make the case, big dude. And I will make the case. I will absolutely make the case that the more muscle tone you have at that size, it's much harder to maintain conditioning. In some regards, because you need a lot more oxygen to feed your muscles. When you're, look at heavyweights in the UFC.
Okay.
Not many of them, or even in the UFC in general, you'll see a lot of guys that have this insane cardio. They're not really the muscle-bound guys. They're a little longer, rangier. Nick Diaz. They're not.
Colby, not jacked to the gills,
I mean, he is in good shape, though, so it's not necessarily
his cardio's ridiculous.
I'm saying, but the bigger you get, these guys are 7 feet tall. I don't think that Joker has an issue whatsoever with conditioning. I mean, that's been proven at this point. There's no one that's going to stop him, though. Bam was having trouble with Al Horford. You could say Jimmy all you want. Jokic is the guy in this one, and there's no debating that. The pick and roll is nearly impossible to stop. if Bam gets in foul trouble, which is more likely than not going to happen, right?
Well, I said yesterday you got to get physical, so maybe you will be in foul trouble quick.
Yeah, but you get in foul trouble, and then then what?
Then they're
like I'm having trouble.
Sugar Creek.
I think there's a Zeller, one of the who's their bigs besides Bam? I'll wait.
All right. I mean, look.
Let me know in the comments who's the biggest.
The Joker is a walking triple-double, right? Like, he's been, again, the best player in basketball through the last couple seasons. This isn't breaking news. Nobody's looking at this like, man, if he just turns it up. He doesn't have to turn it up. He's just that guy.
And the Heat are on house money.
The Heat are absolutely on house money, but I do kind of play devil's advocate.
There's a legacy issue
not even
on the line with
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
What I'm saying
Jimmy
is,
Butler, I get it, but
are you? I say this a lot in I know you don't watch it, hockey, right? The Devils with the Rangers. A lot of their fans were like, "Well, we're playing with house money. We're not supposed to be here." But if you get to a certain point, the house money thing goes away. Look, the Heat are in the NBA Finals. There's no more house money.
I'm saying this from a perspective of how I feel about it. The Heat have no business in the NBA Finals, so good season. It's over. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not expecting the Heat locker room to say, we're on house money. If we lose, no big deal. They're going to win the NBA Finals, no question about it. They're just not gonna. And me, bro. I would be talking about it if I felt like it. I
agree.
Think the Heat have a chance because what I've seen from Denver most of the time Denver games are on late as hell. Even in the postseason, it's like you got to stay up to the ass crack of dawn to see the end of it, right? And from what I've seen, the small sample sizes, they've looked completely unstoppable. I've seen the Heat, and I've seen the Heat struggle even in some of the games that they've won. Jimmy Butler seems to be banged up, so we're not forgetting about that fact.
No, of course
They
not.
would have to shoot the lights out, night in, night out. They might get a game. They maybe get two because they have some fight in them, but let's be honest.
All right. So
And they're going to go deal with them. Like, nobody's talking about this either. Going from Miami to Denver. Playing in that arena at that elevation, I don't know. I think it's going to be difficult.
Is that a thing still?
Bro, what? At elevation? Anything that you're doing a mile above sea level.
Why is it legal in sports?
What should they do?
Go to a level
dig
playing
a hole?
field. Yeah.
And there's nowhere in the state that they can
Just
do
saying.
it,
We've said that for our entire existence.
You're gonna have to
You're going a
dig
mile
through
high. Oh, boy. The elevator.
They're going to have to dig
why is
through
that fair?
a mile of the Earth's crust so they can play on a level playing field.
It's the mantle. It's the surface, the mantle, the crust, the mantle, the core. Is that what it is? The three levels of the Earth?
Sure. Yes.
Anyway, so he's got the Nuggets. I got the Heat. No, I'm kidding. I think the Nuggets are gonna steamroll them. I really do. I love the story of Jimmy Butler, but at the end of the day, you did take down my Knicks, so I'm not rooting for you. That's for damn sure. But I will. I'll take the Nuggets in 5 games. I think that Jimmy Butler will get one at home behind a very inspired, loud, electric crowd. But there's too many factors weighing in on these role players that just they're good. They're snipers. Some of the times when they're on, they are on. But when they're off, it's a very, very vulnerable team. Spoelstra has picked his spots so good when it comes to coaching his ass off the entire playoffs. I got to give it up for him. I've never actually given this guy credit because I felt like he was cakewalking the entire first half of his coaching career with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. But now you have Jimmy Butler and the rest, I'll call them. You know what I mean? So it's not like he's going out there with the big 3 or big 4 guys and saying hey guys, do your thing. We don't even need coaching at this point. He's coached his ass off. Bravo to the Heat for getting there, but I think it's over. All right. One last thing before we get out of here today is I was looking over. I scroll Bleacher Report a lot. I think they're one of the more credible. I don't want to say credible, but just entertaining stuff. They usually put out good content, so I mess with them. There's a lot I don't. But you diverge on, or you decide who you want to follow and who you entertain as fact, right? Like Pro Football Talk, you go scratch. You know what I mean? But hey, the Mojo app, they get a lot of things right. They got a lot of predictions right. So make sure you're following them as well. But there is a article here by a Maurice Moten. It was dropped yesterday. 7 post June 1st cuts that NFL teams should be making before training camp. Now remember, the June 1st cuts, they happen today. It's cut day for a lot of these guys, and a lot of these guys officially become free agents. Basically, the designations, guys like my guy Zeke, Fournette, guys like that become officially available today, and there's going to be moves to be made. So this guy's got a couple listed. His first one is defense. So, again, in the Mojo regards, not big deal. But there is one more free agent out there who has not signed a contract with anybody, Chris, and it's kind of shocking because I think the guy's a good ball player. Ngakoue, the defensive end. I think he's a good ball player, and they're saying that the Bears should spend some of their hard-earned cash to go bolster up that defense. Do you agree with the move, considering the fact that Justin Fields, young offense, different look, obviously, but different look division? Do they got to bolster? Do they got to make any more moves to be contenders here?
I don't know that the Bears. I think it looks like to me that if he was going to get a big deal or a multi-year deal,
it would have happened already.
It would have happened already.
That's what I thought.
I don't think that the Bears are a good enough team this year to go sign a guy for a one-year deal. I think he's going to stick around in free agency, like
just
Clowney
out of
has
Philadelphia,
done, and be that rental guy,
yeah.
and be the hired gun pass rusher. That's probably the best situation for him, and he'll probably get the most money the longer he waits, because now an injury happens to a couple teams and now they need a pass rusher. That's probably his play.
The number 2 move here is that he says that the Bills should absolutely pony up and sign DeAndre Hopkins right now and don't wait any longer.
Yeah, but the Bills don't have the flexibility right now. They need DeAndre Hopkins to be on board, and they need to make something else happen.
So, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, he said there's a tight race going on between the Bills and the Chiefs. Do we think that there's a surprise third team at all? I know we spoke a little bit about it.
At least talked about by the media, whether it's smoke and mirrors or not is another story, but I think it's still going to be the Chiefs. I think if the agent is doing his job properly, they will involve as many teams as they can publicly, and so will other teams, so they could drive up the price on the Chiefs.
For sure.
So,
yeah.
Expect it, even if it's not true, but I ultimately think he's going to play with the Chiefs. The Bills is a good situation too, but I don't know that that's the best.
That would be...
Yeah, but... the Bills right now.
Him and Diggs, it's like, come on.
I think the Chiefs are. There's a lot more targets to be had in KC.
I think so too.
As that sounds.
Yeah, no, it's not crazy because it's Mahomes, and after it's Kelsey, who are you talking about as wide receiver 1 over there? You know, is it you can't
spread it
Kadarius
around.
Toney's
they
not
spread
it.
it around, but the Chiefs. There's a proof that'll work. They've had Tyreek Hill. I don't think it's going to make the same, type of splash, but. I mean, he's a crafty route runner. I would think DeAndre Hopkins would be a perfect fit for any team, but the Chiefs would just be like
sticking with the Cardinals here. They're in fire sale mode, right? Mm-hmm. Clearly, they're Hopkins is gone. It just seems like they're okay with just getting rid of everybody. When it comes to the Cardinals here, they're saying this guy's saying the Broncos should acquire Budda Baker. Budda Baker's gone on record and said that he wants to be the highest paid safety in football, or get me out of here. The Cardinals clearly aren't in that mode where they're like, sure, we'll do it. Budda Baker might be moved here. I really do. He's one of the most electrifying safeties in the league right now, and I think he's still got a lot left in the tank. This one's going to break my heart. The Chargers should sign Ezekiel Elliott right now. Going into a Kellen Moore offense, where she already played in for years, basically half of his career. They have the Austin Eckler thing going on over there. They gave him the incentive deal. That's a nice 1-2 punch to have Zeke and Eckler. I know you're saying like age and all this other stuff, but I think personally Zeke's got just that chip on the shoulder right now. I saw a video yesterday, and I know he puts one out every summer, but he looks explosive.
I saw a Cam video yesterday too.
Oh God, did you really?
No, but you get my point.
I was gonna say no friggin' way is there another Cam video. So here we go. Here's an interesting one.
Zeke, I don't know, man. I think if the Chargers wanted to sign somebody to slow everything down a little bit, they should sign Zeke.
Kareem Hunt still out there?
Yeah, but speaking of slowed down,
speaking of teams with a running back situation, the New York Giants have not signed Saquon Barkley. Is he going to play on the tag? That's the big question.
Yeah.
This article is saying that the Giants should trade probably a late round, 5th, 6th, 7th round pick for Clyde Edwards-Helaire to be potentially RB1 if things don't go right with Saquon Barkley. I don't hate that move. I mean, I hate that move as a Cowboy guy. I don't want the Giants to add any kind of firepower. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a forgotten guy last year, right? The emergence of McKinnon out of the backfield, the emergence of Pacheco out of the backfield. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still there. He might get cut, you would think, maybe. So wait on it. But Giants to add a running back is a very smart move now for training camp.
I just don't believe that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good running back. I think if the opportunity that he had in KC to you saw what Kareem Hunt did there earlier in his career. Same system. There was an opportunity for him to take things and go with it. He was a first-round pick added to it like a luxury, they use the term luxury pick on that offense, and he didn't do anything with it. I don't care. The reports are that the Chiefs like what they see out of him coming into camp, but what else are they going to say when they're trying to trade somebody?
Right. He looks like crap, so if anybody wants him, let me know.
And I hate to break it to the NFL execs, but I'm sure they all know this. Nobody's trading for running backs, so you're just going to have to cut them all. I'm reading the Dalvin Cook article right here, and they're still trying to trade him because it makes more sense to trade him after June 1st because they'll still save the money. But it's...
And your pick for that is the Dolphins? You think Miami?
If they trade him, it changes things a little bit.
Clearly. Yeah. Whoever's in the market for that. Well, you just said nobody's going to trade for a running back, so...
But... If you could get, like when we're talking about Dalvin Cook now,
what do you think his value is?
Fourth, fifth round, like they're just trying to get anything at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're going to still probably.
The Raiders to package
cut him, by the way.
Hunter Renfrow and trade him to the Titans for Kevin Byard, however you want to say his name. The Raiders are in. I don't want to say what is it. What?
I don't even know. Byard, B-Y-A-R-D?
Yeah, Byard.
Yeah.
I looked at Beard. That doesn't matter. But the Raiders to dish a receiver at this point, the Jimmy G stuff we haven't even touched on, by the way. Which, again, there's reports saying that he failed a physical, and they can literally null and void the contract, and this guy could be a free agent all over again. But where's your solve? Like, who's your quarterback? A colleague of ours says, why not Jameis Winston? Or, you know what I mean? I'm like, all right, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I think Carson Wentz is going to wind up in...
I think it's going to be Stidham.
Or
and then it's going to be Caleb Williams next year.
Could be. That would be a tough season for the Raiders fans to deal with that crap. And the Saints to sign Frank Clark. Frank Clark's out there still. The Saints have added plenty of power. They've gotten, obviously, Derek Carr. They're in a completely different situation. So we'll see. I mean, Saints got to add, but we'll see. It's June 1st. A lot of cuts are about to happen right now officially, so keep your eyes on the Mojo app because of the fact that if you're invested in any of these players, it will go down a little bit for now, right? Would that be a smart play, Chris? Invest in them when they're cut? Because you would think they land somewhere and then all of a sudden it's a spike.
Well, it depends who it is. If it was Zeke, no.
Well, Zeke, you've had to, if you were to invest in Zeke, well, he's got the bank value stuff. That's a
some
long
of these guys,
play.
like, I don't know that certain players catch on anywhere.
Like, buy the dip on a Dalvin Cook right now. Like,
yeah, because I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know how much he's going to dip.
True.
I think because there's a
foregone conclusion he's going somewhere.
There's a clear understanding that he's the starting running back in the NFL. Wherever he lands is going to be the guy.
I agree. And I agree you guys should also follow us right now on Mojo, TikTok, Instagram, and the Twitter machine at Mojo, M-O-J-O. And, of course, join the Discord. Every day you can join the conversation between all the experts over there. They're giving out all the prices, all your tips and trades and all sorts of fun stuff. The NBA Finals goes down tonight. We're excited about that. Game 1 tonight, I believe, 8:30. Not that late, so it's okay. You got anything else?
Nope.
Okay, good. So for Dave Sturchio, Chris Gucci, tomorrow we will see you guys one last time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.